and others who had known him. "Being in search of George will be fun," he wrote. The old courtiers talked very freely about the late king. The royal household was still reeling from the abdication in 1936, and the great enigma was Queen Mary. Some said she managed her husband, others claimed that she was terrified of him and failed to confront him. Words used to describe the king were stupid, ignorant, horrible, garrulous, simple, unimaginative, but also loyal, modest, funny, and acute. None of this went into Nicholson's book, but he recorded the conversations in his diary. Reading Nicholson's unpublished diary and his letters to his wife, Vita Sackville-West, I glimpsed for the first time the reality behind the myth of King George the Dull. "We must not let in daylight upon magic," warned Walter Bagehot, the Victorian constitutionalist, speaking of royalty. In the case of George V, however, letting in the daylight reveals the magic which was concealed behind the humdrum exterior. King George V wrote his diary nearly every night of his life, slowly and laboriously, forming the letters in his schoolboy handwriting, using a gold-nibbed fountain pen. He recorded the time he got up, the times he ate breakfast and dinner, and the time he went to bed, usually 11:30. The weather and the direction of the wind are noted, and so are his engagements and the names of the people he met. There is a lot of counting. Miles walked, birds shot, cartridges fired, hands shaken, medals pinned. There are few comments and no descriptions, no confessional nor any evidence of an inner life. Sitting high up in the Royal Archives in the Round Tower at Windsor, I've spent many months reading and transcribing the diary. When he wanted to be, George V was a surprisingly good letter writer, succinct, entertaining, and often affectionate. No one could describe the diary as a lively or enjoyable read, however, but to criticize the diary as mundane is to fail to see the point of it. King George's diary is similar to the one his father kept, a narrative of names and engagements, a royal exercise in social accounting. For the biographer, the diary is indispensable. It gives a detailed chronology, almost hour by hour, of the king's life. And there are nuggets of humour and flashes of insight, as well as invaluable detail. When John Gore was commissioned to write a personal memoir of George V in 1938, the royal librarian Owen Morshead made the diary available to him. The king had been dead for only 2 years, and Queen Mary objected that she never meant the diary of George V to see the light for years, if ever, though she changed her mind and cooperated when she saw Gore's manuscript. He used the diaries to construct an image of the king as a saintly paragon, frank, simple, honest, and good. Too good, perhaps, to be interesting. George was a second son. Eddie, Duke of Clarence, the elder brother, died suddenly when George was 26, leaving George the unexpected heir. If Eddie hadn't died, George would have grown up to become a minor prince, quietly pursuing a career in the Navy, making an arranged marriage to a suitable princess, and ending by serving in an office such as a Governor-General of Canada, as his uncle, the Duke of Connaught, was to do. Instead, he found himself plunged into the role of heir, for which he was totally unprepared. George's reputation has suffered by comparison with that of his flamboyant, charismatic father, Edward VII. The contrast between the hedonistic, playboy father with his glamorous court and the uxorious domestic son could hardly be greater. The son spoke languages badly, if at all, thought abroad was a bloody place, and never dined out if he could help it. The father was cosmopolitan, fluent in French and German, and acted as an ambassador for his country.